guys, you are in the right place if you really want to look at transforming your Facebook ads, right? If you want to get your ads working or working again, some of you guys had ads that were working really well and then they stopped. If you want to lower the cost of your ads, some of you just want to get more traffic, some of you guys want to get their sales to what they should be. My name is Silvia Myers, and over the past 6 years, I've empowered thousands of online stores in over 35 countries around the world with knowledge designed to quadruple return on ad spend. We are going to go specifically into why the old way of running Facebook ads doesn't work anymore, but also how to get that slice of the biggest opportunity in history ever. E-commerce sales worldwide are breaking records. It's a continuously growing industry that's now valued at $4.8 trillion, guys. $4.8 trillion. If your sales have plunged or if they are not going where you want them to go, just remember that there are things we need to fix, but remember, it's not because the market would not be there. Last year has broken all kinds of records that we didn't even think was possible in e-commerce. That was last year. This year, it's like going to a whole new level. So for me, to be honest with you, it didn't make sense, right? I was like, why is it that we are suffering, that we're spending all of this money and not able to figure it out after all we knew, after all we learned, after all of the hardship we had already gone through, and yet the industry is doing so well? Like, what is it that these guys are doing differently, right? So I did what I do best. I tapped into our network of almost 18,000 stores in our community and started to look into all different industries. What have these guys got in common? What do they do differently? And how do they do that? And most importantly, those guys who were doing record sales and had the lower cost per acquisition, had the lower cost of advertisement, and the highest conversion rates, I really started to look into, okay, what is it that they do differently to the rest of us? And what I got to realize was that those of us who weren't doing that well, including ourselves, those people who weren't doing so well, including ourselves, were following the e-commerce formula, I guess, right? So creating some basic ads, then having the Facebook magic algorithm in the middle that was doing all of the work for us, combined with some basic math that was generating sales. However, this model stopped working because we had that magic Facebook algorithm in the middle, and I'm just going to take you through how that's changed and why that doesn't work anymore. So the reason why that Facebook magic algorithm in the middle has changed is for three main reasons, and I really want you guys to pay attention here, because your understanding of this is really going to shape how you're going to move forward over the next 5 days. So the reason why it stopped working was because the algorithm changed. And the first thing that forced the change was essentially a new privacy law. And this new privacy law forced essentially a lower visibility of who is who. This means that Facebook can no longer track many things they used to track. They no longer have all of that information available, okay? So even if you don't use iPhone, or even if you don't have customers who use iPhone, the Facebook algorithm had to change and had to adapt that. This wasn't the first thing that changed. Second thing that changed was that a new online store was opening every 30 seconds. But if this wasn't enough, big brands started to caught on to Facebook, because for a long time, Facebook was solely available to small business owners, right? These three reasons, the fact that the algorithm has changed, every new store opens every 30 seconds, and big business started to spend much more money, all of these three factors were not just influencing the results we were getting and the results we were used to, but also suddenly it started to drive the cost up. Okay. But now I don't want you to panic, right? I still want you to keep in mind the end goal, guys. This is a $4.8 trillion industry. We've got a growing user rate on Facebook, on Instagram. It's 2.8 billion on Facebook, 1.3 billion users on Instagram. And on top of that, we've got growing engagement rates. People are spending more and more time, and we are predicted to be breaking the biggest record in e-commerce ever. Going back to analyzing all of the stores. So I went to analyze all of the stores, reached out to people who I knew were doing really well. I started to survey everyone and started to understand, okay, what is it that these guys do differently? And so these are the three things that they were doing completely differently, and we're gonna go through this in more detail. So first of all, they were focusing on cutting through the noise. They were seizing unique opportunities where the big business did not play. And they really understood the business and the market they were in. In other words, of course, yes, 100%, great. So in other words, what they were doing differently was they were focusing on running the ads intelligently, and they were combining these ads with what we call intelligent economics. And that wasn't just generating sales, but it was generating lots and lots of sales profitably. Okay, so let's dive a little bit further into this. Okay, so in traditional, and this is what I call Ecommerce, by the way, because it's intelligent ads in the intelligent economics. No longer it's e-commerce, right? E-commerce is the old way. The new way is to do intelligent ads and to combine it with intelligent economics, and therefore I call it Ecommerce. In the traditional e-commerce, we were relying on few things that are no longer there. We were relying on essentially Facebook to do the magic for us, right? We are relying on what's called third-party information that is no longer available, which is all of that Facebook tracking you, what do you do all day long, as long as you have your app on your phone and accessed it at some point during the day. They were tracking everything else about you, which is no longer available. And as a result, in e-commerce, we were utilizing lots of what we call lookalike audiences, right? We were utilizing lookalike audiences that were essentially finding us similar people to those who purchased before. And in traditional e-commerce, we were looking to forever try to optimize and lower the cost for conversion. Like, let me just optimize this. Let me just create a better audience to lower the cost here. And basic ads combined with basic economics were possible. Like these combinations were possible to give us sales, and most of the times profitable sales as well. However, as I already mentioned, this doesn't work anymore, right? If we now create a basic ad, Facebook magic is no longer in there, and basic math don't work, and therefore we might be getting sales, but something feels off, something feels different, and we're not going to be generating that profit that we want to do. So whilst e-commerce was focusing on that, Ecommerce is focusing on seizing the opportunities through three main things. We focus on customer-generated demand. We are focusing on customer-generated demand. Tomorrow we'll dive further and deeper into this, what that really means. But instead of just like, pushing things on customer, we're gonna get the customer to come closer to us. Because it is a $4.8 trillion industry. So there is honestly plenty of customers who are ready to buy your products. There is plenty to go around. The pipeline is literally unlimited. We just need to cut through and find the right customer who's going to be ready to buy your product. And on top of that, in Ecommerce, we are creating that intelligent connection between your brand and those shoppers who are ready to buy. And we're going to be utilizing intelligent economics, making sure that you don't just generate sales, but you actually generate profit. Yes, me ready. I'm so ready, please. Yes. Amazing. Excellent. So guys, these 3 points, do write them down, because this is the start of what we're going to be doing over the next 5 days. Super, super important. In a nutshell, these 3 things are representing what we call Ecommerce. Forget e-commerce, no longer works, right? Because that algorithm in the middle has changed. Therefore, we need to do things differently. So Ecommerce focuses on intelligent ads combined with intelligent economics, so that we can generate those profitable sales over and over and over. And once you do that, obviously the opportunities are endless, right? So like, these are just some screenshots from, excuse me, this is a screenshot. This is a real screenshot from one of our students who's been doing extremely well. So you can see there's like, I don't know whether you can see that, but obviously there is a huge return on ad spend. There is thousands of dollars in sales for a low initial cost. If you don't see that, let me try to make it bigger. Let's see if I can make it bigger. Great. So I'll make it bigger so that you guys can see. These are real results, okay? These are real results from Ads Manager. You can see a huge return on ad spend. And all of this, guys, is possible when you do Ecommerce. So just a recap of these 3 things that we've covered today. So we talked about why the old way of running Facebook ads does not work anymore. There's 3 reasons why it does not work anymore. 3 reasons. Algorithm completely changed. Whether you're using Apple iPhone or you are not using Apple iPhone, or your customers are or aren't, does not matter. Gone, okay? Facebook used to be able to track what we were doing all day long on our phones or on our computers. They no longer can do that. So that has completely changed. On top of that, we have a new store opening every 30 seconds, right? And that's just Shopify statistics. And the third thing is that we've got big business coming in with huge budgets, who finally caught up to the Facebook and Instagram advertisement, and they're throwing in big budgets. First thing. Second thing, how to get a slice of the biggest opportunity in the history of e-commerce. We are predicted to go through the biggest season ever. It's a $4.8 trillion industry. We have more engaged users than we ever had before. More than we ever had before. Okay, and these users are scrolling and buying on Facebook and on Instagram more they have ever done before. We are going to have the biggest e-commerce season ever. But of course, in order to seize that, we need to forget the old way of just running basic ads, using the Facebook algorithm magic and basic economics. We need to focus on creating intelligent ads that are focused on pull and on generating customer demand, or tapping into the demand that's already there. And we need to set up our economics intelligently. On day 3, we are going to go in further. We're going to dive deeper into the economics on how you can set it up intelligently. And the third point is, what do you need to change to turn clicks into profitable sales quickly? Obviously, you need to start looking at how can you start setting this up intelligently. What is it that you used to do before, and why doesn't it work anymore?